Is your own significance a worthy leadership goal? Welcome to Leader Reach, reaching hearts and minds of leaders who reach leaders. One of the questions successful leaders have to face and always ask is, at what point have they become so successful they do not need any more success? And whether they should pursue significance in life. It's really not a matter of significance, it's what kind of significance a person pursues, because there can be a wrong kind of significance. There's actually some who say the first part of your life you want to be successful, and then the second half of your life you can be significant. Only I don't know, and I don't think you do either, is when your first half finishes. So it's better to be significant all through your life, whether you're successful or not. And as you read the Bible, you don't see many people trying to be significant. Actually, I don't see anybody trying to be significant except for the builders of the Tower of Babel, who said, we will make our name great. And by the way, that project was not finished. They wanted to be significant, but it was an unfinished project. It's actually quite humorous, because in the next chapter, in Genesis chapter 12, God calls Abraham and says, I will make your name great. So if God gives you significance, receive it, use it well in a stewardship to serve others. You don't concentrate all of it to yourself, okay? You're the means through which you're doing this for others. So instead of looking for significance, I find that servants in the Bible, they were looking for things like usefulness. How can I be useful for God? And that's a much better way of approaching your leadership. Leadership is a utility thing. It's a role. They also looked for fruitfulness. How can I be fruitful? In my life, in my character, in bearing fruit of good works, and bearing the fruit of salvation, so many people can come to heaven. They didn't look for significance, they looked for profitability to the master. As you well know, several of the parables of the Lord Jesus give this indication that you have been endowed with talents, and there are certain ways by which you invest them and use them so it'll be profitable to the master. So look for usefulness, look for profitability to the master, look for fruitfulness, look for fullness. I was in the great land of Ethiopia some time ago. We were expecting about 700 leaders to come to this week-long conference, and right in front of me, on that very first day, were 1,100, for which we did not plan for another 400 to serve, to host. Materials were not ready. We would have to raise a lot more money at the very last moment. And I was struggling inside my soul. I wish only 700 would have come, because it would have been safer for me. And as I was arguing in a soft way with God, which nobody else knew, God simply said to me, Ramesh, if you don't want to do this, let me know, I'll go with somebody else. I said, wait a minute, Lord, not so fast. I still want to be engaged, I still want to be involved. Please keep me in it. And right across the conference center was an old dilapidated hotel where we stayed overnight. We didn't know when the last guests had occupied it. The old guest towels were still there, and spider webs in the room. I'm struggling, writing in my notebook about the matters of the sudden 1,100 showing up rather than just 700. The next day I get up to speak, and my translator has been in prison 7 times for the Lord Jesus. And the Spirit of God whispered to me and said, that's the cost he has paid in order to serve me. Well, and you don't want to be ready enough and humble enough to mention this need to people, so that this massive thing that I'm doing through you and for your ministry, you will not cover. Will you be humble enough to reach people to let them know of the need. You know, all the other accountant sides of me begin to work, say, you should have planned better, you should have restricted, have better policies and so on, but they're sitting right there, handsome leaders from this beautiful country. Still struggling the next day, I wrote a question in my notebook, which went this way, a question that has allowed many, many leaders to benefit from it. I'd like to share this with you. In the management of significance, so you can be useful and profitable and fruitful for the Master. It went this way. The Spirit of God says to me, Ramesh Richard, will you let me do through you what I lead you to do for the world? Will you let me do through you what I lead you to do for the world? It's a question of both restraint and empowerment. It's a question of empowerment, saying, will you let me do it through you? You're not the source of anything, simply the means. But whatever I lead you to do for the world, that's a question of restraint. Just don't think up stuff to get it done. Prayerfully depend upon me and pursue what I have for you. And if I've led you to do this for the world, I will provide. And God did provide. Let's pursue usefulness, fruitfulness, and profitability to the Master. Thank you for watching Leader Reach. Click on the right to watch more videos and click on the left to subscribe to our channel.